Hello all, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new, hello. Doing a video today on installing and setting up Racelabs. It's relatively simple to configure, but what I thought I'd do is I'd run through how to install it, get it going, where you need to go to get the download and so on, as well as some of the setup options that I use, maybe a quick overview of the app. Um, to start with, I mean, what is Racelabs? So, Racelabs is an overlay app for sim racing. Myself, I use it for iRacing, but you can use it on others as well, I believe. And But for I would mainly use it just for iRacing, and it gives you so much information. It's great for you, but if you're also a streamer or you like to stream some of your races or record some of them for others to view, there's a lot of information that you can share with your viewers through those widgets. So definitely worth uh, doing. So what we'll do is we'll just jump straight in, and I'll show you how to do it. So the download you can get from the Discord. I'll put a link to the Discord channel in the comments, as well as a link to the actual current download that I'm actually using in this install. But of course, they will release new versions. The app auto updates, so you don't have to worry about it too much. But you'd obviously need to be on the Discord if there's anything you want to see there, and any new releases that come up there that don't update automatically into your machine. So like you guys, I'm on the Discord channel, and we'll just run through it. This is the Discord channel for Racelabs, and again, I'll put a link in the comments. And then we've got our releases, and we're currently on version 0.17.2. It's a mini release, um, fixing some bits and bobs. Um, so click the link and it will take you down to the download page. Off you go, hit the download, and it will kick off download. It's not a massive install, so depending on the speed of your internet connection, it should be relatively quick. Yeah, 94.2 meg. So we've got our download here now. We're just going to click that and run the installer. You're going to get your little pop-up for your Windows protected PC. Um, just hit more info, and run anyway, just because it's an unknown publisher. My Windows is trying to protect your PC. You get this little green box, which is basically installing it. Once it's done, you should see it automatically pop up. Now for us, it's popped up on my other screen, so I'll just move it over. And here we are. Here is Racelabs as it opens with your overlays. Okay. Um, Whilst I do that, I'm just gonna open up a quick test so that we can see it in action. But yeah, so here's your opening screen of Racelabs, and your different options and so on. At the moment, it's currently free, but they are planning to charge. So you can see this thing here that they will have pro membership. At the moment, I'm not 100% sure on what's the difference between the standard freebie, because there will be continue to be some free overlays, and what's considered to be pro, and therefore why you would need to pay for it. But anyway, we'll figure that out, and maybe I'll do another video on that later on once that's all clearly defined out and set up. So yeah, anyway, so we've got our overlays installed, and our Racelabs set up. So what we need to do is just jump into quick test drive. Yeah, whatever. I don't really care. So we're going to do test drive at Road to Atlanta. Put my steering wheel on. And while that's loading up, we'll go back to Racelabs. And here you can see your setup. We want to go to our overlays, and you can see there's quite a few different ones. that you can use, different widgets and so on, that you can set up. What we want to do is go through them. So relative, obviously your relative is how close everyone is to you or how far behind you are to them on the actual track. So it will show that, like, you know, the next car's a tail ender. If they're red, they're leaders and they're coming to lap you or have lapped you. If they're blue, they're tail enders that you are overtaking. And if they're greyed out like this one here, it means he's in the pits. Alright, so that's your kind of colour code. So with your relative and in general, you've got all your different formulas. You've got your weight, which are obviously pro options. Your background opacity, if I pronounce that correctly, probably not. Driver name width, how long you want it to be. You can all adjust all this sort of stuff and it will change the size of the box. Yeah, typically I leave it on the default. And your text scale, how big do you want it to be. Yeah, again, I typically use it on the default. Different widgets. These widgets are these informational pieces here in these corners, and you can change them around to be different things. You can just select the drop round down, for example, you know, track temperature. I want that to be current position, and now see it's changed and it's P2, 12 even. I might leave it on that one, to be honest, because I don't really care about track temp. Well, whatever. Driver info, you can get it to display certain things, how many drivers ahead, how many drivers behind. Driver class, if you want it to show that, and so on and so forth. Driver number. On or off, I have it on. A lot of this is all personal preference. I suggest you play with it. You can put the, you know, IR rating on or off. By default, it's all on. Any pit info, pitted lap, I like that on. Comes in handy on the GT3 races and above, where, you know, pits are a big part of that. Any kind of endurance races, it's always nice to see, you know, when the car in front or behind pitted. And you can tailor your strategy. You can add pit time as well. You know, how long were they in there? Again, useful information, especially when you're comparing your own to theirs. You know, definitely when it comes down to endurance racing and you're catching people up. Next one is your standings. Again, you know, your standings is, you know, the current standings of the races, including the different groups. You can't really see it here because for some reason this window is pretty small. But you'll see it. These are your deltas here on the right hand side, which I have on. Again, you know, very similar to the other ones, your different widgets, your driver info here, very similar to the other one, slightly, you know, number of drivers that are being shown and so on is a bit larger. Whether you want the driver number on and off, if you've already got on the relative, you probably don't care about the standings. Tyre compounds, things like that. Whether you want, you know, IR or safety rating in there. Sorry, my headset was telling me it was going to turn itself off for some reason. And so on. Very similar to the others. Your lap times, on or off, so on and so forth. These are your deltas, your pit info, whether you're having multi-class, whether you want it on or off. You see here the blue, pink and yellow, they're different classes. Um, some of the races, at least in iRacing, are multi-class. And then you've got the stream info thing where you can pump it to your streaming. I don't. I stream on YouTube. A lot of the streaming set up in this, which we'll come to in a bit, is for Twitch, and I stream on YouTube, so no good for me. I haven't quite figured out whether I can get it to work to YouTube yet, so it's one of those things I need to work on. Fuel calculator, very handy when it comes to GT3 races and above. If you're MX5 in, not so much, but on the GT3 races, typically you have to pit. Endurance, you have to pit. So this information comes in super helpful when it comes down to working out your pit stops and how much fuel you need to put on for depending on your laps. Your input telemetry, this is showing your clutch, brake, and acceleration, as well as your speed and gear. Again, very useful for streamers. I typically don't play around with the settings, but it's there. If you want to change the input values and so on and so forth, but I use the default there. Head to head, obviously the car in front and the car behind, your lap times, the gap. So here's your lap times and here's your gap. The one thing that you do need to do with this one is you do need to change the width. I believe it's this one, yeah, because what I've found is that it's if you go with the default, it ends up cutting it off. So I always change that setting. I recommend you do the same, otherwise you find out that half your lap times are being cut out. It also shows you the gains in sectors, so you can see here if you're in sector 1 you were 0.7 faster or slower or whatever, it'll be red if you were slower, green if you were faster. With the cars in front and the cars behind, you're obviously the guy in the middle. Great piece of information. I use this one probably more than any of the others when it comes down to the actual race. Then we have the flat map. This is the positions of all the cars as they are on the track, where you are here, and it will move along as they go across the track. I don't particularly use it. I have it on here for the stream, so guys can use it. When we have boost box, I don't use this. I race mainly GT3 class or MX5, so there is no boost or electricity or anything like that in that, but that's what that one's for. And then flags, I use this one, helps me out, definitely worth a look. Just a bit more prominent than default in iRacing, to tell you what the current status is of the race. And then you've got this advanced panel, again probably more for your streamers. I don't use this one, but you can if you want. And then of course in the most recent releases, they've added certain pieces for streaming. If you are a streamer and you are using a third party to supply setups like VRS or one of those guys, if you're sharing your garage view, yeah, of your setup on the stream, it is you're going to be breaching the agreement that you have with that third party, whoever it'll be, because you'll be showing everyone that setup, and so then therefore it can be copied. So a handy thing, you just basically configure this to sit over the top of your view whenever you click garage, and it will hide it so that your guys on the stream can't see it. Twitch chat, again, very helpful. I used this quite a bit when I was streaming on Twitch before I switched to YouTube for streaming. But it allows your chat feed to show up directly on your screen, and again, you can just pop it out and put it in there. chat race standings. You know, people are talking to you in your chat. The more they talk, they score points. Gives you some interaction with your audience who is watching you. I would love to see some of this stuff come over to YouTube. That's a question I need to actually put to the guy who makes this, who's a really nice guy. I do follow him on Twitch, you know, and he's quite engaged with his audience around what he's doing with Racelabs. So it's always a good chance to see new releases first before he deploys them, because obviously he's testing them and he tests them out on his Twitch. And he's quite happy to show you guys what he's doing, and it's a chance for you to give feedback. And he does. You know, respond to questions when you put it up on the chat and things like that. So definitely a good thing to set up, and you know, a good guy to follow. Nice bloke. You also have this chat race game that he set up as well. Again, I don't use any of this, but I played it on his Twitch channel with him. It's just a little bit of fun at the end of the race, just to do it, and yeah, really good. And then of course then we have the membership. So at the moment everyone gets everything, but eventually the pro options that you saw as I went through are going to cost you know, for $3.99 a month dollars. Hopefully yeah, I mean, that's not too expensive. He does put a lot of effort into this, and it's in line with others. So I wouldn't say it's more cheaper or more expensive than others as such that offer these types of overlays, but he's pretty active in development. He's always tweaking, changing and adding new stuff and taking feedback from the community, so likely worth an investment there. But if not, and you can't, there are basic overlays that will still be available free of charge, which is you know, obviously a good thing, because there are a few overlay options out there that are only you have to pay for. He's, you know, has been offering it all completely for free for quite some time, but obviously it's grown and takes a lot of effort, and he was doing it from donations, and I think now he needs to you know, get some revenue coming in to support the growth of the Racelab. So it's definitely worth the investment, because obviously, you know, the more we invest, hopefully the more he'll work on it, and the better it will be for us at the end. I'm interested also to see what he does with this dashboard. I think this could also be a cool little feature, but we haven't quite got it yet. So what do we do? So we want to open this up in our overlay mode. So what we're going to do first is we're going to jump into a test. Yeah. Sorry about that. And as you can see, this is our view within the car. What we want to do is we want to look at our Racelabs, and we want to pop these things out in our overlay mode. Right. So we pop it out in overlay. Relative overlay is opened. So I want relative, I want standings, I want my fuel calculator, and I want telemetry for you guys who are watching me stream. I want my head-to-head because I love my head-to-head. My flat map, my flags, and that's what I use. I don't use any of the others. Okay, so now that we've done that, we'll drop this down. Now at the moment nothing is locked in place, so I can move it all around and decide where I want things. So my telemetry I want over here. I think, you know, the flat map where it is fine. Fuel calculator, I want to pop that up a bit, as well as this one. But what we don't want to impeach on our field of view, so I'm just going to put that there. We've obviously got the standard ones here, and then this is our standings one. Right. I'll pop out flags. Flags is out. But of course, you know, you're only going to see the ones that are relevant at the moment. You know, head to head isn't relevant because I'm in a private test. Um, now, now that I've done this, which is great, I've got it, but I've decided I want to go and tweak stand-ins. So if I go back to my Racelabs, I can tweak it in real time. So I've got stand-ins, I've got my widgets, my driver info, and so on. And there is one option here, class, driver number. But yeah, I mean, just as an example, I mean, if I switch this on, see, there it is, and it changes. It says I'm a rookie at the moment, apparently. I'm not, or whatever. We'll turn that off. Fastest lap times, I do like that one, so we're going to put that one in. So we've got our fastest laps. Is it fastest? No, it's last lap, isn't it? I like, yeah, last lap. And lap deltas are always good. Shows you the last 3 laps, who was faster or slower, so on. Comes in handy. But yeah, you can tweak it all real time. And once you're happy with the positioning, if you go back here and you can lock that all in place. Now it doesn't move. Yeah, that's where it's all gonna stay, unless you go back to Racelabs, open it up, untick, go back, and now we can move it. Yeah. You'll need to tweak it, I guess. It depends on the car as well that you're in, your field of view, because they're all a little bit different. You may want to tweak it a little bit, car by car, and so on and so forth. The one good thing is that now, once you do this, so if I, for example, open up Racelabs and I lock that items in place, and then I close it, it's all gone. Right? But as soon as I come back to Racelabs, and I reopen it, pops right back. It's going to call me a liar now, look at that. So I've lost 2 of my overlays. Yeah. I lost my relative and my standings for some reason. Okay, try again, eh? Oh, so if we close it down and we reopen it, there you go, that's better. Second time lucky. So as you can see, it all reopened up straight back in their default location. I also have Racelab set to launch as soon as I log into Windows, so it's one thing that I don't have to worry about, and it's there. And yeah, what we'll do is I'm using a crappy setup at the moment on here. This is not the setup for this track, but what I'm going to do is just throw down a lap so you can see some of this data. Should start popping in on some of these. Probably not a ton because we're in a private test. If you were in a full-blown race or test, you will see it. If you check out one of my other videos, you'll see all this stuff in action, because I've got a few videos on the channel around the racing, when racing, and you can see it going. And you can see the views and the data and so on. So let's knock down a lap. Quickly. Slight lift there because I've got cold tyres. I've raced a lot of laps at this track. This was the track for Petit Le Mans this year. 10 hours of racing here with a partner. Mind you, this setup for this car on this track is working quite well because it's for a different racetrack. But its balance seems really well. And you see our fuel's going down as we're driving, so that one's moving, and then you should see the lap time popping. And there we have it. And there's the fuel, and you can see now all the fuel information popping up, the average, and that'll update every lap so you can stay on top of it. It's a pig of a corner, this one. I always get that one wrong. Alright, and what we should see is that change again when I go over a finish line. Wrong gear. So we can see our average and our maximum fuel that we're using on that particular overlay. On the power a bit late there. Already a second up on our previous lap time. Did a 1:26.2 in the last lap. Oh, bit tail lappy there. You can do this corner flat when your tyres are warm. There you go. And that was a 1:25.1, which I actually think is the fastest I've ever gone around this track. Yeah. Anyway. And you can see the telemetry feeding in as I push the brakes. I've got automatic clutch, so that always stays at 100%, but your brake pedal's the red one. Acceleration is the green one on the telemetry here on the bottom left, which is pretty good. But you can see, like now, for example, we're doing that, and I can see a problem. Right, head to head, it's going to drop in a third name here. That's going to overlap here, and then of course we've got an overlap on our telemetry. So if I pop back to Racelabs, yeah, I go to my overlays, take off the padlock, and I can move around. That needs to be a little bit higher. So you'll need to tweak it as you go. Whatever works for you. Obviously this one in particular is, and this one are information if you're streaming or you're recording videos. You want people to see it. So not necessarily being in your direct field of view is not a major issue. The head-to-head, the stand-ins, the relative are the ones that you're going to be looking at the most. And then obviously fuel when you start coming near to your pit stop window, if you have one. But we'll just lock that back in place and done. So guys, that is Racelabs, an introduction to. If anyone has any questions or whatever around this stuff, I've been using it for, got to be near on 6 months now. I'm really happy with it. Really, you know, it's a good product, good app. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask in the comments on the video, and I always try to reply to every single comment. So if there's anything I can help you guys out with getting up and running, just let me know. More than happy to. Um, Otherwise, would appreciate it. I'm obviously trying to start up my little YouTube channel around these sort of things, so I would appreciate a like and a subscribe if you found this useful. And if there's anything else I can help maybe create a video on that you think you would benefit from, just again, make suggestions in the comments and I'll look at it for sure. But as always, thank you again for watching. Appreciate it, and yeah, hopefully, see you guys in other videos and streams and so on. And good luck with your sim racing career. Catch you soon.